Oregon Governor Kate Brown signs a bill to do away with education standards for high school students. Mitch McConnell and other GOP senators vote to approve the Biden infrastructure plan. Plus, the crisis at the border keeps getting worse. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with Oregon Governor Kate Brown and the continuing decline of real education standards and the rise in the power and influence of the radical left in education. Now, we know that in many places around the country, our children are being inundated with leftwing indoctrination. School lessons are filled with critical race theory and light on civics and history, patriotism, and core learning. Case in point is what's going on in Oregon. I'm sure there isn't a left-wing program that Oregon Governor Kate Brown doesn't fully embrace, but basic education standards? Not so much. In fact, she recently signed a bill to do away with them, and here's the story. Governor Kate Brown, the Oregon Democrat, signed a bill with little fanfare that drops the requirement that high school students prove proficiency in reading, writing, or math before graduation, a report said. The Oregonian reported that the governor has seemed to avoid discussing Senate Bill 744. Her move to sign the bill was not public until recently because her office did not hold a signing ceremony or issue a press release. The paper also pointed out that the bill was first signed on July 14th, but not added into the state's database until July 29th due to a glitch in the system. So, did you catch that? Forget low standards. In Oregon, there won't be any standards. The governor, with the support from the Democrats, signed a bill to do away with education proficiency standards for high school. So what's the point if students actually don't have to learn? Here's more. In June, state lawmakers voted to approve the bill that suspended the requirements for students for 3 years, KATU reported. Foundations for a Better Oregon said in a statement at the time that the bill is intended to truly reflect what every student needs to thrive in the 21st century. Supporters of the bill insist that considering math and reading essential skills has been an unfair challenge for students who do not test well. The report said the requirement was first suspended at the start of the pandemic. The KATU report pointed out that Republicans have come out against the bill and claim that it lowers expectations for our kids, but there was some bipartisan support. This is such a typical response from the left. Some people have a hard time achieving a particular goal, so we're just going to do away with the goal. Kids can't reach a certain standard, so we're just going to lower the standard. Actually, in this case, the standard is being eliminated. Here's some reaction from Will Kane over at Fox News.
This is driven out of racial politics. So this is not only a tragedy and not only child abuse, this is flat out racist. This is the idea that black and brown children cannot satisfy universal standards. So we must lower them. And they suggest that's somehow white supremacy. It's like the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. putting out that document a year ago that said punctuality, hard work, and objective thought are caricatures of white supremacy. No, these are the path to success. And for you to suggest that black and brown kids cannot live up to those standards is flat out racist.
Those are some great comments right there, folks. It is racist to lower standards. It's also the hallmark of socialism. The last thing that the left wants are exceptional people. Keep people stupid and you maintain power. This is a terrible policy that will guarantee those students start out their adult life at a disadvantage. Next, let's talk about Mitch McConnell in the Senate. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Okay, so next is an update on Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, and the other GOP senators who sold out and voted for the Biden infrastructure bill. That's right, we have all of those rhinos, and as I discussed on Monday's show, over the weekend was the real vote, the vote to end the filibuster on that bill. 50 Democrats were in favor of ending the filibuster, which means 10 Republicans were still needed. As it turns out, 18 joined the effort to end the filibuster and allow this infrastructure bill to continue. Republican senators voting with Democrats: Blunt, Burr, Capito, Cassidy, Collins, Cornyn, Kramer, Crapo, Fisher, Hoeven, McConnell, Murkowski, Portman, Risch, Romney, Sullivan, Tillis, and Wicker. So, because the bill was allowed to continue, it came up for a vote on Tuesday, and the Senate passed the bill, this time with 19 GOP senators supporting it. Republicans Lindsey Graham and Chuck Grassley were added to the yes column. Graham didn't vote during the weekend filibuster vote, but voted yes on Tuesday. Grassley voted no on Saturday, which was a good thing, but then voted yes to pass the bill on Tuesday. And then Senator John Cornyn of Texas had a strange change of heart. He voted with the Democrats over the weekend to kill the filibuster, but then on Tuesday voted against the infrastructure bill. Go figure. So what happens next? Just like I said, the Democrats would push for their bigger $3.5 trillion spending bill, and that's exactly what they did on Wednesday. And here is the story. West Virginia Democrat Senator Joe Manchin raised concerns over the $3.5 trillion budget plan the Senate passed Wednesday, warning that the level of spending would have a negative impact on future generations. Adding trillions of dollars more to nearly $29 trillion of national debt without any consideration of the negative impacts on our children and grandchildren is one of those decisions that has become far too easy in Washington, Manchin said in a press release Wednesday. The Senate passed the $3.5 trillion budget in a 50-49 vote early Wednesday morning after the plan was proposed the previous day. Manchin voted yes on the budget, saying it was important to discuss the fiscal policy future of this country. So, that 50-49 vote was to consider the $3.5 trillion budget. Manchin voted for that, but what actually ends up in the final bill is up for debate and discussion. However, it can be passed without any Republican support. So the only thing standing in the way of Green New Deal programs and left-wing spending on bigger and more intrusive government is Manchin and maybe one other Democrat senator. That's the update on the infrastructure bill and the spending bill. And now you see what happens when Republicans lose control of the Senate and you have rhino senators willing to vote with the Democrats. All right, so next, let's talk about the border crisis, because you may not hear much about it in the left-wing news, but the situation continues to get worse. Each month of this year, the number of illegal border crossings has gone up. Drugs are pouring in, along with an incredibly high percentage of COVID-positive illegal aliens. Here's Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich discussing the situation.
Well, what we are seeing in Arizona is going to affect the entire country. Basically, we've seen a record amount of fentanyl coming into this country. We've seen a record amount of people illegally crossing our southern border. We know that there's a record amount of gotaways. And this is not only a seasonal problem, it's a generational problem, Ainsley. And it's the Biden administration is essentially subsidizing and incentivizing people to come here. And shame on Secretary Mayorkas, because since he has been the Secretary of Homeland Security, 1 million people have illegally crossed our southern border just this year. In the last 6 months, it's been Secretary.
1 million people. That's what we've seen so far this year. And Brnovich is right. The Biden administration is incentivizing people to come. They won't be deported. They won't have to remain in Mexico. And if caught, they are just released into the country. And here's more.
You can't have an administration systematically not willing to enforce the laws. That's why I have 3 lawsuits right now pending against the Biden administration and their failed border policies. So this is intentional. I think it's an attempt to radically change this country, not just Arizona and Texas and Florida. It's an attempt to radically change this country, because this is all part of the far left's push to make this country socialist or even communist. It's all about concentration of power in D.C.
Brnovich touches on one aspect of the left's plan, and that is to saturate states like Texas and Florida, Arizona, and others with illegal aliens in the hopes that they will vote for the Democrats. Also, with an estimated 20% of illegals being COVID positive, it's a great way for the Biden team to make red states look bad by sending batches of COVID positive people into those states. Biden, Harris, Mayorkas, and the entire Biden team should be thrown out of office just for those policies at the border. It's dangerous, and Joe Biden is doing nothing to stop it. All right, So next, let's talk about Democrat squad member Rashida Tlaib and the ongoing hypocrisy of the left regarding COVID. On Monday's show, I talked about how Dr. Fauci loves to blast conservative gatherings, but he says nothing about the 100,000 person Lollapalooza gathering in Chicago or Barack Obama's birthday bash where people were seen indoors without masks. Here's Fauci blasting the Sturgis motorcycle rally.
What do you expect this rally to do to that part of the country?
Well, I'm very concerned, Chuck, that we're going to see another surge related to that rally. I mean, to me, it's understandable that people want to do the kinds of things they want to do. They want their freedom to do that. But there comes a time when you're dealing with a public health crisis that could involve you, your family, and everyone else, that something supersedes that need to do exactly what you want to do.
As I said, he'll blast an event like that, but doesn't say a word about Democrat gatherings. So here's another example to go along with Barack Obama, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and others. Democrat Representative Rashida Tlaib, who assailed GOP Senator Rand Paul for urging Americans to resist new CDC guidelines, danced without a mask at an indoor wedding in a county in her home state with substantial COVID-19 transmission. Tlaib was captured on video in the Instagram story of Bassam Saleh, a wedding band in Dearborn, Michigan, as she danced and posed for photos at the large indoor gathering Sunday, Fox News reported. What is it with these Democrats? They scream for mask mandates for everyone else, but they don't follow their own guidelines themselves. We've seen it over and over again with Democrats like Gavin Newsom, Andrew Cuomo, Nancy Pelosi. The list goes on and on. But hey, they'll scream from the mountain if you're not wearing one. Here's more. The video emerged on the same day the lawmaker, a key member of the Democrat squad, along with Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, and Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, slammed Paul, who posted a video encouraging people to resist federal guidelines. The Kentucky senator is throwing a tantrum as his state is being swallowed whole by this virus again, Tlaib wrote on Twitter, where she posted a Kentucky map showing counties with elevated risk categories. It's just so typical. Senator Paul has now been banned from YouTube for the next week, and one of his videos was taken down because he spoke out against the approved talking points. Meanwhile, people like Rashida Tlaib just keep breaking their own rules. Friends, that's our show for today, but don't forget, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Our next show is Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time on my channel and 8:30 p.m. on Right Side Broadcasting. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.